We're live.
Do I have time to get myself bigger?
More protein.
What's up, guys? More protein. I think it's going to take a little more than that. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of season 6. Yes. So, guys, last time we talked about dealing with a larger opponent. So, we're going to look at it from two different aspects, both standing as well as on the ground. So, we have Joe Franco. You're one of mine now.
Yo.
Good black belt. Guys, you should see him move. He moves like a cat. Doesn't look like a cat, but he moves like a cat. Good technique, and he's slightly bigger than me. So we have him here. I did a no-gi just because last time he was on the show, we did a gi. So I figured even though we're doing it twice a week, we'll do a gi show next week. So we're going to break it down between standing and on the ground because a lot of people were asking, like, you know, that they're getting body lock passed. So when we're standing, guys, it's very important. I'm actually, and within the standing realm, I'm going to break it down into two pieces. I'm going to do it sort of first self-defense because it's different. And we're going to do it, and then we're going to do grappling only. So in self-defense scenario, if I go against a bigger guy, first of all, I'm going to crack him. And I'm going to crack him good. Maybe more than once. So one of the things, you know, let's assume that Joe and I are getting into an altercation. So guys, anytime you're in a possible altercation, your hands need to be up. You don't have to be like, okay, motherfucker. That escalates immediately. It's like, okay, you know, your hands should be up, dude. I'm sorry, you know, like, listen, let's figure this out. But my hands are up. Because to close a fist, you could do it on the fly, literally on the fly as it's going in. But the first things I literally would do, and I have, my wrestling is not the greatest, but I have a lot of good wrestlers in my school. And I would take them down in MMA because MMA is probably the closest proxy for self-defense. And the reason for that is because once the striking gets added into the mix, it's a completely different game. If the guy is like, as you're coming in and he's kind of turning like this, it's easy to take him down. It's not easy to take somebody down that's like, you know, kind of like low level and ready to sprawl. So, altercation. You can see Joe is a big guy, so he's got his hands down because he's feeling a lot more confident. I'm guessing that, right? So guys, first thing I'm going is, you know, like you remember from the old days, Hoist would like do one of these. I don't like this because if I slip, I'm going, I personally, but you know, back then people didn't even know. It's like they were like, okay, he's coming in for a takedown. What I would do is this. And then I'm going in. I might hit him one more time. I'm going in and I'm going to try to take him down. So I may hit him repeatedly, but not unless I feel like, okay, he's almost out. Okay. But again, if for me it starts, boom, and I'm in. I'm in. All right? But I keep my hands up because, again, if the guy kind of blocks this, I'm going to hit him with an elbow. And now I'm going to hit him, you know, like from here, again, if it's a guy closer to my size, I'm going to take him down if I feel I can't take the guy down. Hit him with a knee, and then now we're going down. Now, that's for self-defense MMA. Well, in MMA, you're going to fight the guy same weight class. There's no absolute division in MMA anymore. In Jiu-Jitsu, so Joe, you know, we're grip fighting. What I usually do is I start to drive. And because usually people are not used to, especially bigger guys. And I, you know, I used to train with a lot of guys significantly heavier than me and the Henzos. But so anytime I clinch up, I'm driving. And a lot of times I would actually drive all the way into the wall. The wall here is too far. Joe is not going to let me go this far. And from here, then I pull. And I pull into, Joe has no choice but to go with it, right? So let's assume that this happens a little closer to the wall. So if the wall is close, I will drive him all the way to the wall. I would not do this in a self-defense scenario. I would literally hit him a couple of times until he gave me something so favorable I could take him down myself. Of course, anything, if things go wrong, you may wind up on the bottom, but generally speaking, I'm going to try to stay on top. In grappling, it's different. If I make a mistake, I tap, and so we're here. I push into the minute Joe pushes back, we got something like this. From here, I can start to go to his back, or I actually hit that with a gatame guard pull, which is very, very powerful. It worked for me a lot of times immediately, right off the attack. So I push, Joe starts to push back. This is done. Okay? So that would be how I would approach sort of dealing with a significantly bigger opponent on the feet. I've done this multiple times, guys. I remember this a long time ago. I was teaching a class, and I had a couple of really strong students. They were strength and conditioning coaches for a football team. One of the guys was 350 pounds. Makes Joe look small. And, he was kind of thick. To be honest with you, I'd rather deal with like a jacked, huge guy, because there's always space, than kind of a thicker guy, because then that space can be taken very easily away, and then it becomes very, very difficult to move once you get on the bottom, which will bring us to the next aspect of this. And,
Which am I?
you're semi-jacked. I told Joe, I said, Joe, you're losing weight because, I said, we might have to feed you some more. He's like, I lost 6 pounds. I said, oh, man, it must have come from the right places. Anyways, so the guy looks at me, and I, when I teach a class, I'm there for you. I'm there for the students. I don't train, because if I'm training with somebody, guys, I'm not paying attention to somebody mangling some, 130-pound, beginner in the back. So I kind of got like, a little sort of, I got my Irish up a little bit. I was like, okay, let's go. So what I did, I literally pushed the guy into a wall. Of course, that guy, it's a surprise a little bit. That's the only reason I pushed him. Otherwise, if he was like ready, like a football thing, he'd flatten me like a semi-truck. And pushed him into the wall, pulled, armbar him 3 times. And that was it. We were done. And unfortunately, as they were walking out, his friend's telling him, what the F is wrong with you? And I never saw that guy again. So not necessarily the most shining moment for me. And, so he didn't know better. He didn't know. So anyways, do we have any questions on the standing part before we move to the ground part, where it's the body lock passing and sort of, yeah.
Not from standing. We do have a few questions all from the ground. So we have a few questions from Diego, and then MJ was asking about split guard. If you want to go into that, or should we answer on that?
Oh, well, we'll go into split guard from the ground, because that's sort of, so this one, my guys, please don't forget about the standing part, because, most of us train jiu-jitsu, I would imagine if there's a functional reason, it's self-defense. That's probably more applicable than anything else. Especially if you have an altercation with a way bigger guy, you can't just kind of pull guard. You need to pull guard on terms favorable to you. There's a massive difference, because if you pull guard, that guy starts passing you guard immediately. So on the ground, what I see a lot of guys, and Joe is a really good training partner. We train not so often, maybe every 3 or 4 weeks or so, but he's a really good training partner. He can flow, he can move very fast, he can be very heavy. The thing is, though, I see this all the time, even with my high-level students. So we just start training. You just lost. Even before this happened, you just lost. I just lost. Joe, why don't you show them what happens when you do this?
They take it.
Slide, put, get in, come on. Yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going. Do your thing. It's a good thing that sound was distorted. It probably would have picked me up wheezing. But literally, it happens pretty much at that speed. And I literally, when I'm, you know, so during open mat, we have, what, 40, 50 people on the mat? Yeah. And I'm walking around and I'm like, you know, or if I'm training, a lot of times I keep my eye just to make sure nobody's doing anything stupid. And then I see one of my black belts or brown belts going with Joe. I'm like, dumb, whatever word you want to use. You just lost. So it doesn't have to be a full body lock. So body lock is obviously the guy locks his hands around you. To be honest with you, when somebody body locks me, so I have a really bad back. That either arm or leg under my lower back, it's just literally, if I twist the wrong way, it could literally seize up. So I basically kind of let them move on to the next stage, and then I re-engage. You know, I just don't fight it hard. And the reality is, it doesn't have to be body lock. It could be just basically what Joe probably does more often is just, yeah, this. This is it. I cannot move my hips left to right. There is, like, I have zero movement left to right. The only possible thing I could possibly do is pop him up and move back out. That is the only possible thing I could do, okay? Now, if I pop him up, I have to slide my butt backwards. So now this takes us to the split guard aspect of this. What is the major principal difference between split guard and other types of guards that may look similar, but they're not, namely clamp guard? Joe knows the answer. Aaliyah knows the answer.
Enrique knows the answer too. He's watching.
What's up, Enrique?
He says he likes your shorts and he needs your help with dealing smaller opponents.
We'll cover that next class.
Children.
Yeah, train with children. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers that Seinfeld episode where he was beating up all the kids in the karate school. Anyways, so it's feet on the hips. So I may start in butterfly guard, but I don't do this. I just jam myself up. All Joe needs to do is say thank you. And now your hips, when your heels are touching your butt, basically, my pushing power is non-existent or very, very weak. I cannot lift. How the hell am I going to lift him? The only thing I could do is pop up big and now regard. This is the guard I need to use. I use this guard against Joe all the time, and I tell people, it's nothing against him. It's just a common sense is, what is the number one? So I like my guards. You know how I like my guards, right? I like them to be both defensive as well as offensive. But the number one priority for a guard is protection. What does that mean? They cannot easily pass. The offensive aspects are good, but the defensive come first. So anytime if Joe and I start, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be far out here. The minute he starts moving, my feet are on the hips. I'm starting to isolate. I'm looking for that head and arm. Now, we're going to do a little bit of a play on things here. I'm going to start to approach you. I'm going to look for the grips. Watch what happens to my butt when I don't get my grips. This is, guys, we're going to call it the ass polish. All right? Maybe sometimes I come up with these stupid things or drop an F-bomb to reinforce the point. I don't really care what you call it, but this is such an important aspect. It's basically ass polish reset. We're out of time.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the ass polish reset.
We had this question from MJ. It has to do with the split guard.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go ask polish in the app. For when he pins that far side foot, when he takes it off the hip and pins it, what's your next reaction?
So let's do ass polish to split guard, because I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
So basically, as Joe, so I try to, don't let me get this.
Okay.
Yeah. You saw what happened. Again. I slid out. The reason for that is because he squashed, it was fairly quick, but he squashed my initial grip. So I had to slide my butt so I can reset and put my foot on the hip. Now, I'm not in split guard yet because Joe, so I'm almost there because his arms are extended, but his hand is on my hip. It's very easy for me to take it off. Now, normally I will not let him, once I'm here, I will apply pressure immediately. I will not let him try, yeah. You could see that by having tension in that foot. It's very difficult. He needs to keep putting his hand on the floor or tap. But let's assume that you made that mistake, that ass polish. You need to, this is one of the most underutilized, people decide on a course of action. And it's sort of like you're driving somewhere. Now in the days of GPS, I'm the GPS guys, by the way. I tell you where there's traffic and how to avoid it. But a lot of people, okay, I'm going this way, straight into a ravine or straight into traffic. What you need to do is, again, as we start to, I'm in split guard. Now, he takes it away, I will start to, so now it's a little different because he's a little bit more sideways. So I don't have to, he's not in a position to pass. But if it became a little bit tighter, a little bit closer, meaning that he's starting to get to his passing position, which is kind of controlling my legs, either this way, and I need to slide back to reset. Push it out. Yeah, you notice that I didn't let him push it down that easily. He failed the first time. I had to lighten up on it. Keeping tension in that foot makes it very difficult. But you saw what I did. I slid my butt back and immediately attacked this one. And now, this is the only way Joe can salvage his arm. Well, not for long. So, guys, this applies with body lock passing. Body lock passing, once somebody is deep into it, it's sort of like, so I'm going to do this one more time. So when Joe, as he's standing and as he tries to go for a body, he tried to go for a body lock. You need to prevent it. Once somebody locks your body, so again, he was going for body lock. It's a prevention. Anytime the guy is about to body lock pass, ass polish. And just like that, our ass polish episode is done. Guys, we're heading over to the app now, so if you're a subscriber, we'll see you on the other side.